Hope everybody had a great Monday and a great weekend. And today was a what I call a head scratcher DR day. And so we'll talk about it really quick. Only had one play that I took today, and we'll get to that one toward the end. So, but initially, as we always do, let's talk about range, right? So our range today was 14 points, and normally, I like 16 to 20 plus points. But we had 14 points, so my initial thought was, okay, we should actually, really blow through DR confirmation pretty quickly because the range was so tight. And so, we came down between that 9:30 and 10:30 hour, and then so, we wicked down after DR closed or set up. We wicked down below the DR low, but we didn't close down there. So as we know, that's as part of the rules. That's not a confirmation, so we're just waiting at this point. And so price starts to go up. There's some things you can do here with ICT. Here's a fair value gap right here that would have gotten picked up and moved you up about 5 more points if you would have taken that trade. There's other things you can do while we're waiting, right? So price comes back down again, wicks all the way back down to DR low, and then just rejects off of that, right, or retraces off of that. Does the same thing again, runs all the way back up, basically almost to the same area where the first candles were set up. All right, so now we're looking at this M pattern. So again, we're still inside the DR range. We haven't done anything yet, at least from a DR perspective. All right, so price comes down again, and then shoots back up. And now you think about, look what time this is. This is around almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So normally we have a lunch push. We didn't have that today. We actually went down. We had a V at lunch. We went down and went back up. So if you were trying to trade that, that's a little tough to do using DR. So around 2 o'clock. At this point, I'm kind of like, well, because I remember, I think it was Thursday, we had a day where, or Thursday or Wednesday last week, we had a day where DR didn't confirm either side, right? But that was a much wider range. So I started thinking like, well, maybe we're gonna not confirm again today. And then at 2 o'clock, I don't even know what the news was, right? So I'm at the office and I see my group start saying like, there's the drop, there's the drop. So I'm looking, I turn around and look, I'm going like, man, what happened? So I don't know if I think Biden might have been speaking or something like that, but massive drop here. And then what that ends up doing is it actually does a DR low confirmation. So this is 2 o'clock. Normally after 2 o'clock, I'm not even interested in DR anymore. But, in this case, I was like, well, let's see what's going to happen. Because I saw this really long wick here, right? And I was like, well, we might actually be moving back up. And so again, of course, next candles kind of go up. This fair value gap formed here. And I thought like price might come back down. And I was like, well, I'll just grab an ICT, entry and wait for price to run up. But nothing ever came back here. So I kept looking. And then I got up here and I said, well, the only thing left is, a retirement setup for DR. And so what that means is, we confirm down here and then we go all the way up to the other side, sometimes above IDR, sometimes, above DR, or not above DR, sometimes above IDR, sometimes a little below IDR. But then price starts to turn around and reject. And so I said, well, one or two things are going to happen here, right? We're going to either bust out of this DR, so make a false DR day. We'll bust out a DR high, close above it, which means, now this is a false day, which again, with this movement, is quite possible. And so I'm watching, and what I see is, right on the tick where the DR line is, DR high line is, we go up, and then we come back down, right? We don't close above it. Next candle, we actually go above it, we wick above it, come back down, look where we close. Next candle, we go up to it, wick above it, one tick, but we don't close above it. So this is still a valid DR day, right? So what I do is I'm like, okay, next candle, what I'm doing is I'm putting an order in right here, right on the IDR high line, because if we can't go through here, we're going to come back down, right? We're not going to stay up here all day. And so put the order here, gets picked up, goes back up again to the DR high line. I'm going like, well, maybe I was wrong. but comes right back down, and then drops down here for, and then we had another long drop, and so from here 41.55 down to 41.50, a quick 5 points after waiting all day through all this stuff. Got my 5 points here, and then could have done it again right here, because again we went right back up to DR high, didn't close above it, and then we just came back down. So this one would have been pretty close to 5 points, but I was driving at the time, so don't want to trade and drive, so didn't take that one. But again, just a head scratcher of a day. I know we have CPI coming this week, but I thought today would be a lot more action. So luckily I was at work, and so I actually had stuff to do, because I did meant to tell you, everybody, and I haven't said this in a while, but the reason why this triggered for me was because I have alerts set on all these lines, right? So every morning, once DR confirms, or not confirms, I shouldn't say confirms, once DR sets up at 10:30, I put alerts on every line. So down here, I have alert me if I go below, right? Alert me if I go below. Up here, I have alert me, period, if I cross this. And then here, I have alert me if I go above, alert me if I go above. So this trade here was triggered by an alert that said, hey, I'm going above. Because here's what happens, right? So when this happened, and I started seeing this, so my first, all right, and it went, so now remember, we were saying once we confirm, I want to retrace, and I want price to come back down and pick me up. So when this happened, my first order was here on IDR low, right? Expecting to come back down. Didn't happen, right? Went up here, went above the 0.5 fib. So I moved my order from here up to 0.5 fib, okay? So that didn't come back and start going down. So, went all the way up here, and when it moved up, once it went above this DR, that's where I started putting my order in, right? So I put my order in on a DR low line with the expectation it's going to come and pick me up there and then come back down, which is what ended up happening. So, use these tools to your advantage, right? Because sitting there all day, I can't sit here all day and watch these. So again, I make sure I set my alerts, and then when the alerts go off, I just know to go and look at. I don't have to do anything right that second. I know to go and look. So when this alert went off, I'm looking and I'm going, okay, it's probably gonna go above DR high. That DR high alert, went off here, but I'm like, it came right back down. So just something that I picked up, because again, I can't watch this all day. And but yeah, that was DR for today. Again, head scratcher, interesting. Just shocked that this movement was so tight today. But we take what the market gives us, right? So again, following our rules, sticking to the plan. One trade, 5 points. I'm good. I'm happy. No issues there. All right. So hopefully this was helpful, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. That should be interesting as well, since again we have CPI on Wednesday. But again, hope all is well, and I appreciate you guys. And I keep forgetting to say this, because everybody keeps telling me to say this: like, comment, subscribe. I don't know why, but it's up to you. All right, we'll see you guys.